Hashtag AskOGman. My mum, who has type 2 diabetes, keeps chickens in the backyard and eats their eggs on a regular basis, and says the chickens have a wonderful life and eating their eggs a few times a week doesn't make her not vegan. So do you have any evidence that eating these eggs will be doing her health no good? And what are your thoughts on vegans with eggs, which seems to be talked about a lot recently? Great question, Alice. Let's get to it. Roll the titles. Welcome back, it's good to see you again. If we haven't met before, then hi, I'm Goji Man. I'm currently studying for a Masters in Nutrition and qualifying as a nutritionist, and next year I'll be studying for a PhD in nutritional science. I do daily vegan videos in which I answer your health and nutrition questions under the hashtag AskGojiman. So if you have a question for me, then hashtag AskGojiman in the comments below, and I'll choose one of these questions to answer in tomorrow's video for you. So without further ado, to the question. So very quickly, question of the day for you lot. Apparently vegan is actually now a thing. Vegans who keep chickens in their backyards and eat their eggs. Are these people actually vegan? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So the first thing that I will say in response to your question, Alice, is that eggs are the most concentrated source of cholesterol in Western type diets. But as you allude to, your mum eats a predominantly vegan plant-based diet. So how much harm will eating these eggs 2 to 3 times a week actually do to her health, her cholesterol levels and her risk of having a heart attack? Now, many of you will probably heard people like Dr. Greger say that eating eggs is comparable to smoking in its connection to heart disease. But is this comparison a fair reflection of what the scientific data tells us, or is it simply plant-based doctors simply being a sensationalist? So let's jump into it. So there are lots of studies that have analysed cholesterol intake, its impact on blood cholesterol levels and the subsequent risk of heart attack. And the evidence clearly points to the fact that dietary cholesterol elevates LDL cholesterol, which is a bad type of cholesterol. Meta-analysis studies that have analysed lots of different studies also clearly show that when eating eggs, the dietary cholesterol increases the ratio of total cholesterol to HDL. So what this effectively means is that eating eggs increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, and the science in this area is unquestionable. The researchers in this meta-analysis study showed that 3 to 4 eggs per week would increase the total cholesterol to HDL ratio. That would effectively mean that a person would have a 2.1% increased risk of having a heart attack. Now you're probably thinking 2.1% is a very small risk for 3 to 4 eggs per week, but these types of studies were simply showing increased risk for those who were already eating high amounts of animal products. So what about if a person was vegan, like Alice's mum, who then strayed into eating eggs a few times a week? So here the risk is a lot more substantial and is very much dependent on how many eggs are being consumed each week. So for example, this study that looked at this very topic showed that eating 1 egg a day increased your risk of premature death by 23%. So as you can see, Alice, if your mum is eating 2 to 3 eggs per week, then she is at a significant risk of developing heart disease and having a subsequent heart attack. And if her arteries were already furred from years of eating a standard Western type diet before she transitioned to a more plant-based type diet, then her risk factors would be further increased. And for Alice's mum, who already has type 2 diabetes, eating eggs multiple times a week doubles her risk of having a heart attack. And these results have been replicated in many studies, such as the Harvard Nurses studies, which you will often hear Dr. Greger talking about, as well as other large studies such as the Health Professionals Follow-up Study and the Physicians' Health Study. And a recent study from Greece also demonstrated that there is a 5-fold increased risk of death from heart attacks for diabetics who were consuming 1 or more eggs a day. So what all the data and evidence shows us is that there is a significant increased risk of having a heart attack from eating eggs a few times a week. And if you have diabetes and you continue to eat eggs on a regular basis, then you are really getting into hot water. And for those who don't have type 2 diabetes and regularly eat eggs, they have a significant risk of developing type 2 diabetes in the future, as well as developing prostate cancer for men. So very quickly going back to Dr. Greger and his comparison of eating eggs to smoking. So for example, in America, 400,000 people a year die from smoking, and of these, 133,000 are a direct result from smoking causing their heart disease. So is it then fair to compare eating eggs with smoking in terms of heart disease? Well, yes, according to these type of studies that have used ultrasound to measure artery plaque levels in both smokers, non-smokers and those who eat eggs. The researchers clearly found that those who regularly ate eggs had the same levels of plaque formation to those who smoked cigarettes for many years. So to lay it out simply, a person who consumed 4 or more eggs a week would have a plaque formation approximately 2/3 the size of someone who had smoked a packet of cigarettes for 40 to 50 years. So when you hear people like Dr. Greger and others compare smoking to egg consumption, it is absolutely a fair comparison to make. The other aspect for Alice's mum that I briefly want to touch upon is whether it's actually ethical to eat eggs of chickens kept in her backyard. And just to quickly state, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do, it's not my place. So apparently, and it's a new one on me, but vegan is actually a thing. So it's people who are vegan but continue to eat eggs from chickens in their backyards because it's both ethical and humane. So what I will say here, and a lot of these vegans may not realise, is that often chickens cannibalise their own eggs. So when people remove eggs from chickens, they remove one of the biggest nutrient sources from the chicken's diet. So this is one of the primary reasons why farm chickens die so young. So they continue to lay eggs partly for their own food source, but then these eggs are removed and the chicken is then caught up in this vicious laying cycle. For me though, Alice, the biggest point here that I would say is that we don't own the chickens and they certainly don't lay the eggs for us. So I hope that video helps you, Alice. As always, for the rest of you, if you have a question for me, then hashtag AskOGMan in the comments below, and I'll choose one of these questions to answer in tomorrow's video for you. And as always, remember to look after your body because it's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you next time.